SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak, and we have been previewing the entire NCAA tournament with the individual game previews, the first three rounds of the tournament. Now we've got the Sweet 16 coming up, and we're going to do this with one-on-one interviews. So we're going to get my opinion and the opinion of our expert guest handicappers. And right now we're going to take a look at the South Sweet 16 games for the South bracket with Dave Golokhov from AskMen.com and SBR contributor. Dave, thanks for being back with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we're going to start with Michigan and Kansas, and I'll tell you right up front, I have a very, very, very strong lean on this one, but I'm not going to tell you what it is to start because I don't want you to copy my pick. So let's see what you have to say first. Dave Golokhov, Michigan, Kansas. Kansas about a 1.5 or 2-point favorite, and the total's about 137 that I've seen. What do you think about this matchup?
I like Michigan in this game, and really it boils down to the confidence of both teams right now and the performance of both teams from what I've seen in the early part of this tournament. When you look at Kansas, in my books, they played about one good half in two full games. So I can't really put much faith into them as a 1.5-point favorite, even though they're the higher seed. Now you look at Michigan on the flip side. To me, pound for pound, their win versus VCU might be the most impressive win that I've seen in the tournament. I just thought that VCU was, a decent team, scrappy, good, solid defensively, and Michigan just shredded them. So that was very impressive to me. A friend of mine made the point that if you were to reseed the South region at this point, I think Michigan would actually be the #1 seed. Kansas surely would not. Anyways, the other thing that I keep in mind here, I don't put much weight in the seeding because there was a point in time in the season when Michigan was the top team in the country,
sure,
and Kansas was on a 3-game losing streak. So I think you're getting some value with Michigan just on the point spread right there. I think Michigan is playing better, and I think Kansas is struggling, and they just look like one of those teams that hasn't put it together yet, and is just they hung on against Western Kentucky. They showed up for the second half against North Carolina. I think a quality Michigan team that's playing at a high level can take them down.
Well, you make some interesting points here, Dave Golokhov, but it's going to be me versus you on this one because my lean on this one is to Kansas -1.5, and I'll tell you why. Yes, obviously you make some very good points. I mean, I see the game against UNC as not as Kansas only showed up for 1/2. I see them as having the experience to come back against an impressive UNC team that was playing 4 guards. Yes, Michigan looked phenomenal in their first 2 games, but when I look at the matchups, both of those teams tried to play Michigan style. They tried to play an up-tempo pace with them, tried to basically out-athleticize them, and they couldn't do it. Michigan blew them out of the water, and they had the big edge there. Now, though, they're stepping way up in class in terms of the caliber of athletes they're going to play, and stylistically, Kansas is going to play a half-court game. Kansas is not going to try to force an up-tempo. He's not going to agree to an up-tempo pace at all. They're going to try to force a half-court game, which I think is Kansas's strength, and I think Michigan, they did struggle at the end of the year in half-court sets, and I think they're going to have some problems here. I like Kansas up. Plus, Kansas is a very senior-laden team. They start 4 seniors, I think, and Michigan starts a bunch of freshmen. Again, I'm impressed by Kansas's comeback against UNC. I don't see it as like they only showed up for half a game. I love Kansas here, -1.5. What do you have to say about all those things I just said?
Well, I mean, listen, Kansas barely got past Western Kentucky.
Sure, yes.
And, they didn't play well in the first half against North Carolina. So, I mean, you're looking at it from your lenses. I just see it as a team that's played 1 good half and has gotten by against 2 lesser opponents. North Carolina is not the North Carolina we've known, and Western Kentucky is a piece of garbage. So Michigan is a step up in class for Kansas. If Kansas thinks they're going to show up and play for 1/2, they're going to get run off the court. It won't even be a contest here. I think if you're a Kansas bettor, you're hoping that they turned a corner. You're hoping that they're a team that started slow and is building momentum and turned a corner in that second half. You can make the case that their backcourt played horribly. Their top scorer scored only 2 points against North Carolina. They still won comfortably. Their backcourt went 1 for 15 from the field. It's a very deep team. It's a senior team. You can surely make a case for Kansas. I personally would just rather go with the team that's playing better, that's the underdog, and is executing at a higher level at this point than what I've seen from Kansas. Can Kansas show up and beat them? Yeah, of course they can. They could probably, if Kansas put their best game together, they could, they would probably beat Michigan's best game. But I'm just looking at how the teams have performed to this point in the season, to this point in the tournament, and going off of that, and that's why I like Michigan here.
All right, well, we shall see. It's me against Dave Golokhov. Dave likes Michigan. We'll give you +2, which you can get if you shop around. I like Kansas. I'll give me -1.5, which you can get if you shop around. We shall see. Thanks, Dave.